They're like, hi.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, thanks for inviting me. And he's like, why the fuck are you here?
I didn't.
You just spent yesterday rage texting. Zach, you can see he is fighting so hard to find the words where he's like, I'm proud of you for what you've done. Good for you. Congratulations.
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Thank you guys for listening. This is Two Queens, One Screen. I'm Jen.
I'm Keely.
And we watched a lot of TV this week.
A lot of TV for me today.
Yeah, just today. Today, because the newest episode of The Valley came out, and I watched everything. Keely watched most of it. But there's Keely has a real job, everybody. I have a job that I do work for, but I did get to get some TV watching it, so I am caught up. But we have it just so good. So we've got The Valley, but I want to start with Love Island. Love Island started off slow for me, and it is cuckoo bananas, and I love it. Keely, what have you seen? And I'm then going to tell you all my favorite parts that you missed.
So I have seen like everything up to last night. I've only seen up to where Huda and Jeremiah, the next day, they're having their argument in the morning. And everybody...
No, you have to be more specific because that's literally every episode.
I know. I'm so sorry. Well, after the date, the recoupling, they went on the date, the boat. They came back. Everybody went to bed. And then they got up the next morning. Huda and Jeremiah spoke in the speakeasy. And then they ended the episode. She had that really pretty black, sexy, like fishnet outfit on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a dress, but it was basically lingerie. Good for
right.
her.
And so then Wednesday, they picked up there with them in the speakeasy. Okay. And then they all went back to bed. And Jeremiah and Iris went to bed together. And she was upset about that. They all woke up. And she and Jeremiah spoke in the morning off to the side. And it looked like it was going well because she kind of had her legs underneath him and his legs were over hers and everybody was watching. And then that conversation broke down.
Like in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that conversation broke down and she got upset and walked away and walked over to the bigger group. So Austin and Alandria were in the kitchen, and then the bigger group, she walked over to the bigger group and was complaining about the conversation to them, and Taylor and Nick were rolling their eyes and really upset about it.
I mean, she will walk around talking shit. I'm going to say it again. It is M. Night Shyamalan, The Beach or whatever. Their time just like flies.
Oh, yeah.
Like 1 hour is like 6 years or something.
Yeah, that movie.
They are already resentful couple of each other. She's like, well, I need more. And he's like, well, I don't feel like doing that. And it's just nonsense. But she will talk shit so loudly to everyone. So when they recoupled, I loved it. I voted. You told me to vote last week and I voted. And everything I voted for.
Good girl. Told you.
But I feel guilty about it now because they broke up, Huda and Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And Huda looked like someone stabbed her.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She was like crying.
Yeah.
Just hysterical.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what does America know?
Yeah.
America doesn't really know that much other than she's kind of obnoxious. They've married each other in this villa, it seems like, and it doesn't make any sense. They don't need to do it. They should be, I hate to say the word, I just cover your ears. Exploring. They should be exploring. It's ridiculous what they're doing. So I'm kind of over it. But then, they have the dates. Huda she's just a vibe killer. She is walking around, bitching and moaning, calling him a bitch, saying that he's not a real man because he didn't check on her, which he probably should have checked on her.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. And then you go, oh, so we've been doing this for 2 weeks and you didn't come check on me. Maybe I should move on. Instead, she's like drilling down her heels in to make sure that everyone knows that she's upset and that he wasn't good enough and he wasn't doing a good job and he's really hurt her. And then they'll seem like they resolve something that she's like, but you hurt me. And you're like, why are we starting at the beginning again? You can't. Okay. Hold on.
Yes.
All right. I was interrupted and my hair looked so cute. I don't know if I can get my hair that cute. I can't. Can I? Oh, that's way too much. Oh, that's fine.
There you go. You got it. There you go.
There you go.
You got it.
I'll just say, brief interruption. The kittens got fixed today, and instead of being drugged up and tired like they're supposed to be, they're fucking whacked out, and they are jumping and attacking everything, and they're like, don't let them move around too crazy for the next 2 weeks. They're parkouring off the walls. I can't get them to stop. But they might be leaving tomorrow to go out for adoption. So if you are in the Central Florida area, feel free to check out Tears for Tilly and Cricket. But back to who really matters, which is Jeremiah and Huda. Everyone's pissed at Huda. And so when they come to drop another bomb, I love Ariana Madix. She comes back in again, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna fuck some more shit up. It's the door.
The doors. So I have seen, spoiler alert, I know who goes home. I have seen I have not seen all the recoupling. I just didn't understand the doors. So explain that to me.
Okay, so the girls walk behind doors, and the doors all have their names on it.
Okay.
So each girl is standing behind her door.
Okay.
And she sends a text message to lock in who is the one guy that it can unlock her door. Each guy, one by one, gets up and he goes to go open a door. And she's locking or unlocking. And Ariana is announcing whose door he's walking up to. So he's like...
Wait.
Yeah. So it ended up being Pepe walked up to Hannah's door, obviously, and it was unlocked, so they coupled. Everybody's coupling up. And then...
So, like, say if Ace walked up to Hannah's door, it would still be locked, right?
It would be locked.
Oh, okay.
And then he would be
it.
single.
I see. Okay.
So Jalen, everyone it was coupling up. It was couple. Then Jalen, who came in with Pepe, goes up to Olandria's door.
Okay.
And he goes to open it and it was locked.
So is that because Olandria doesn't like Jalen, or Jalen doesn't like...
I think she likes him, but she can only let one person. She can only unlock her door for one person. And she had to send in the text, so she doesn't get to cheat. There's only one person that can unlock your door, and if they don't go for your door, then you're single.
See. I'm following.
Jalen can't unlock her door, and you can see she finally had to choose between Jalen and Taylor. And she's like, oh, you can just see her, like, she's so uncomfortable. It's so then Jalen's single. And then Taylor goes, she unlocks the door for Taylor.
Okay, I gotcha.
And they're like, I think she's finally decided there's no more love triangle. It's like they've locked that in. It's very sweet.
Okay.
Then the last person is Jeremiah. Jeremiah is either going to go to Huda or to
Iris,
thank you. It's an old lady name.
I love it.
Love an old lady name. So he is picking between Huda and Iris.
Okay.
And he goes to Iris's door. And that's the only one that Ariana did not announce. So when you see the door and, like, including the girls, we didn't know who he was going to pick. Okay. And then he picks Iris and they're, like, so excited. And Huda, she's talking shit. And then he's like, you know what? She's like, I knew he was going to be a bitch. And then he's, like, respectfully talking shit. And he's like, you know, I just wanted someone that was going to be a little bit more level-headed.
Mm-hmm.
So then... And it
the
was
elimination
like, okay,
confused me, too.
Yeah.
I saw it, but I didn't understand what they were doing.
Yeah, it was a little convoluted. But everything in this game is a little convoluted. So then, Huda and Jalen are the only people that are left over single. One of the single people is going to get voted off because you're vulnerable. And everyone's like, shit. Mm-hmm. I for sure thought Huda was going to get kicked off because Huda has been such a pain in the fucking ass the last 2-3 days, however long that they're there. All she does is bitch and moan and talk shit and cry with her big fake eyelashes, which I love a fake eyelash, but hers look like they're made out of construction paper. I'm sick of it. And all of her eye rolling.
God.
Ariana starts calling up the Islanders, and they have to stand behind the person that they want to stay.
Okay.
Jalen got Pepe, because he and Pepe came in together. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah, of course, because Jeremiah's like, get Huda out. Mm-hmm. And then also the guy that looks like a hot version from what's-his-face from Mad Magazine. What is his name?
Nick.
Baby Uncle Baby Billy, Nick.
Yeah.
So, he gets 3 guys. Mm-hmm. Everyone else gets behind Huda, including Iris, who Huda ripped apart. Remember when she did that backbench?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the end. Huda still there for some reason.
All right.
I don't think she's much longer for this world.
Okay.
On Love Island.
All right.
I think she's going to get out. I hope.
Let me just throw something out there to you.
Okay.
Let me just play devil's advocate here for a minute. Last season, we saw the PPG, right? We saw Serena, we saw Janae, and we saw Leah. And they rode hard for each other. They were there for each other, right? When Rob treated Leah like trash, Serena stood in front of her and said, we are not doing this. We are not talking to her like that. Step away. Get your ass over there. Don't fucking say these things to her. Right. Mm-hmm. She did not let Rob treat Leah disrespectfully for 1 second, for 1 moment at all. Correct?
Fair. Yes.
Can we just think about that for a minute with Huda? Can we just imagine, or even just rewind for a minute? This girl does not have 1 friend there.
I disagree.
No, she does not.
So?
No
Everyone
one
stood
comes
behind her. The girls are rallying. You don't think so?
When she's walking around, no one checks on her. No one comes to her. Everyone rolls their eyes at her. Mm-hmm. No one says, are you okay? No one wants to talk to her. She has nobody. Everybody talks behind her back. Everybody says, you're the problem. Mm-hmm. Nobody says Jeremiah is the problem. I think Jeremiah love bombed her from day 1. Mm-hmm. And she just emotionally got invested in this man that completely love bombed her.
Sure.
And what is she supposed to do with that when he turns around and is like, yeah, I don't really think this is going to work out, which is fair, fair to say. That is fair to say on this show. But the girl does not have 1 friend. No one is helping her out. No one. Everybody is turning their back on her. And everybody is blaming her because she's so dramatic, because she's so out there, and because she is so upset because of what he is doing and causing her reaction. Now she is the problem. This is what I have a problem with.
Sure. The part that I feel like needs to be noted in this, though, is when they got uncoupled and he gets coupled with Iris. She's like, what is America seeing? What is going on? And then immediately decided that there's something she doesn't know that he's being shady about. I think you're right where, like, I think he did love bomb her. I don't think he did it in like an intentional, malicious way. I think he's playing the game. And I think that he actually was like mostly just trying to get laid and they really liked each other. I do think that it's kind of shitty that he didn't check on her, but when he walked upstairs to go brush his teeth, she's in the shower calling him a bitch, saying that he's not a real man, yelling about what a snake he is. I mean,
so if you love bomb someone and they completely dump your ass and you can't turn around and say,
dump her. That wasn't his choice.
You can't have a reaction and say, fuck off.
I don't think it was fair that she had such an intense reaction and called him names without having a conversation with him when he didn't dump her. So when he like went and took space, should he have checked on her?
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't check on her. Yeah. That night, before they even went to bed, when he would have been in the same room as he came upstairs to brush his teeth, she's in the shower screaming about how he is a bitch and not a man. And he's
too bad. Too fucking bad.
But he didn't break up their relationship. I did.
You're right.
Voted
You're right.
against
I voted that too. I totally voted that too.
So I don't think it's fair.
You don't go on this show to love bomb someone. This is not what this show is about. To love bomb someone? No.
Kind of. I think it kind of, I mean, they're literally trying to find love. And they're like, I don't think that he's doing it to like manipulate her. I think he...
Oh, 100% he is. He absolutely is doing that.
He is emotionally immature. And I think
he's absolutely immature. He 100% is immature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no way.
They all are, which is why the show is fun.
Yeah.
But I think there's a certain point where you need to be sad. I think you need to get it out. She has gotten it out, but then she just keeps going and keeps going.
She has no friends. She has no one to talk to. They talk behind her back. They talk behind her back.
Amaya went and was on her side and very sweet. That's the other thing I got to talk about is Amaya. The Amaya of it all. Amaya, I just talked shit on the whole time last time. I still don't like Amaya, but I respect her because when Charlie, he had like gone and tried to talk to her because Hannah was with Pepe.
Yeah.
And he went to Amaya and was like, let's figure this out. And Amaya's like, listen, I think your feelings are hurt. I think that you're acting really rashly. I think you're not really seeing this clearly. She's my girl. I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to tell her. I was like, holy shit, Amaya, you're dumb as rocks. But then that was the capacity for emotional intelligence and self-awareness and like, I'm going to handle this fairly, I thought was amazing. So like, I don't want to hang out with her, but I do respect her.
Yeah.
I think Amaya is a good friend. I think Olandria is just... She was a good friend and now she's getting sick of it. I think her best friend was Bella. Bella's gone.
Yeah.
And I think that even Iris was like, hey, you were in a shit situation and I'm sorry about this. Like, she's getting support, just not the loud vocal support that she's putting out there. She's not getting that back anymore. And she's telling everyone about their value, but she's not getting that conversation back to her. She was like the mom of the group. But here's the thing. When you're the mom, you don't get the support back. Right? Isn't that like the universal truth? If you're the mom, your job is to like mother everyone. And then at the end of the day, you're like, these fucking kids.
Yeah.
And if all your kids are wasted on Love Island and like making out all the time, are you a proud parent? I don't know.
I just don't think it's fair that everybody tells her how horrible she is, but they don't care about her. That's all I'm saying. That's what I watch.
I think it's because it got way too intense, and I think they all just want to get drunk.
Who fucking cares how intense it is?
No, I mean,
pull up your fucking panties, pull up your goddamn panties, and go make sure this girl is fine. That's another fucking problem is these producers.
No.
They have no fucking care for her mental status on this goddamn show. She's completely alone, and they're just watching her spiral, and nobody is helping her. Nobody.
No. That girl kind of needs to go home. Like, she is not prepared for the nonsense that is this, and the stakes are too high for her.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And then it's also now her secret's out.
Yeah.
I don't remember, was it Olandria that was like...
I think so.
She was like, she's a single mom. And they were like, Austin was like, she's a single mom. And they were like...
Yeah.
Olandria keeps doing the thing that I always do, which is saying the thing that apparently wasn't common knowledge.
Right.
I was like, fuck. I thought you knew. Never.
Ding dong.
Oh.
Who's at the door?
Also, I love that Pepe, former pro basketball, it must have been in another country. Was he pro basketball in the US?
I don't think so.
I feel like Eastern Europe and like Spain, they have pro basketball.
Yeah.
Because he does not look like an American pro basketball player. No offense, Pepe. He just doesn't seem tall enough. Right? But he's a retired pro basketball player. And seems like a better fit for Hannah, long run. Hannah, who was hysterically sobbing over Charlie.
Yeah.
2 days ago?
It's hard to watch, yeah.
And now she's already all in with Pepe. Good for her. That's what we need. That's what Huda needs, is the ability to rebound like Hannah.
Yeah.
Get a really good cry out.
Yeah.
That's what Huda needs, is to get the whole cry out before you go back to anger. Get the whole cry out, and then you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But I also think Hannah's just a little slutty in the fun way. She's like fun slutty. So that's what I hope for Huda. Otherwise, I think she's out, because I think she's pissed off too many people. Everyone's too tired of listening to her. She's negative. She's Debbie Downer, is what it is. And Jeremiah's there. Like, at least they were calling Jeremiah out when they did have the conversation with him, where they're like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, of course she's going to be upset. Did you talk to her? Why didn't you go talk to her? Even Nick, who rides his dick, Nick was like, I think if you were a real man, you would have gone and had that conversation. And then she was sitting there on the other side of the wall listening to it.
Oh my God.
But so good. So good. Okay. Well, that was 25.
Speaking of someone sitting on the other side of the wall and crashing a party, can I just tell you, this episode, the first 2 or 5 minutes, I had the worst anxiety just watching him, just listening to him. I had to turn it off. I had to turn it off and leave and then come back. Mm-hmm. I'm not joking. I almost texted you and said, I can't do this. I can't watch this. You're going to have to just have story time because I can't do this. But I powered through. I'm good. It was difficult.
Valley episode 10, Jax is at a rehab, and it is so fucking uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Because he talks a big game. Right? That's what this whole fucking episode was him telling everyone over and over and over again that he had 7 hours of therapy. That the problem wasn't really alcohol and drugs, although he is sober. It's his anger and needing to work through those issues in his mental health. Going over and over and over again about all of this, and Cruz is his reason for working so hard, and you know, people really should have been holding him accountable, and he has a rage problem, but he's really working on it, and he realizes that it's all on him to make better choices, and then immediately backsliding within 30 seconds.
The next sentence.
The next sentence. So Jesse picks up Jax from rehab, and he's like, congratulations. He's like, yeah, 31 days sober, and he's like kissing his coin for being sober, which...
Vomit.
I genuinely I believe that addiction is a disease. Mm-hmm. I believe it's something that should be held to esteem. I think that you can be an addict who is sober, who's also an asshole.
Yeah.
And I think Jax Taylor is a perfect representation of that.
Ugh.
There are people who change and they are a different person when they are involved in drugs or alcohol and there's some people that are just assholes.
Yeah.
And Jax is just an asshole.
Yeah.
And I don't find his sobriety as impressive as...
Is it even sobriety? My God, no. That's what even Danny says at one point, dude. You went to anger rehab. Did you even learn anything? I mean, what are we doing?
It was just nuts. So he gets picked up, and Jesse and Jax are talking about kind of what his experiences is and how he's going to be going forward. And he's like, it's all about how I handle things. That's what it really is going to be about. It's going to be about how I handle this and how he processed things that he thought he was going to take to his grave. And then he's like subtly threatening his mother. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Because we all know, if you know anything about Jax, he's not talking to his mom right now because he doesn't like how she handled his father's sudden death.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay. But he then is talking about his entire life. The real problem is that he's never been held accountable. So it's literally everyone else's fault for not holding him accountable hard enough.
Really? Okay. That's what they taught you? Okay. They taught you that? Okay, sir.
And he said that people need to stop giving him chances. And Jesse...
God bless him.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, yeah, you need to start eating humble pie. You're going to be going on an apology tour. It's all about this. And he's like, yep, you're right. I'm going to do it. And then Jesse goes, yeah, people are hurting, Jax. And Jax goes, people aren't hurting. People are partying. Like immediately his FOMO kicks in. And he's like, I'm actually the victim here, that everyone got to go do fun things and I didn't get to engage in them. And he's like, and no one visited me. And the party at Brits, like, all of this is really horrible. It's all just this attack on me. How could they do that the day before I get out of rehab? And it's like, well, maybe because it's not all about you. They were making a point to say it's also about Brittany because you're about to get out of rehab. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He walks into the house that he has not been paying the mortgage for. And they had the packing party. And he's like, well, where's all my stuff? And he looks around the house and he goes, well, I'm definitely taking more than whatever she packed. Because he's looking around going, I'm getting that and I'm getting that and I'm getting that. But then also, he's like, I'm not taking her dishes. I'm not taking Cruz's things. I'm not taking my $20,000 love sack couch. You're married.
Right.
If you buy a couch for your house that you have with your spouse, I didn't mean to rhyme that, but if you buy that couch, that's not $20,000 love sack couch.
Right.
That's our couch in the living room.
Yeah.
Who's making a $20,000? I don't care how rich you are. Who's making a $20,000 couch purchase on their own without their significant other? Nobody.
Nobody.
Also, why are we name dropping love sack?
I know.
I remember that being huge in the 2000s, like early 2000s.
Right.
Is that still a thing?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's still a thing.
I don't know.
But then he goes in and he's really frustrated that they bagged up all of his stuff. He's like, oh, so you're saying I'm trash? And it's like, no, it's just literally the easiest way to pack clothes, in my opinion. He also was like, Brittany needs to put this house on the market immediately. And Jesse's trying to talk him down. He's like watching him wind himself up. Mm-hmm. Jesse's sitting there trying to be like the voice of reason in this. And Jax refuses to hear any of it. And here's where I knew my alarm bells were going off that Keely is going to lose her shit when she watches the scene. Yeah. Keely is going to be so angry because Jax is like, what woman needs a house that has 5 bedrooms? She's a woman. Yeah. You don't need 7 bathrooms as a woman. Yeah. She needs a little house as a woman. Yep. I was like, what the fuck?
What does that have to do with anything? What are you talking about? Yeah.
What, as a woman? Like, my vagina needs several bedrooms. Like, how dare you?
And bathrooms. Excuse me.
So many bathrooms for my period. How dare he? And then he also says that he paid off the mortgage already.
Which we all know is a lie.
Which we know is bullshit.
Fire.
Oh my god, fucking Jax. So he's just like spinning himself up. And then Jesse, as he had been trying to be the voice of reason, then goes, well, I am on a TV show. And he goes, just so you know, I am having a party tomorrow. And Jax is like, cool. Am I invited? And he's like, well, kind of not really. Know. Michelle's not coming. And it's really a party for Zach, who the night before had thrown the Brits bar party, and Jax had been rage texting the owners of Jax's bar and going, why the fuck is Zach there? Kick him out. Yeah. And the owners were like, no, he paid for this. and, he's like, well, it's really like a surprise party for Benji, his boyfriend that's coming into the town. Yeah. Because he got his visa. And he's like, I don't care. It's your house and I'm going. Like, Jax doesn't hear himself as Jesse's trying to, like, gently go, I don't think it's a good idea for you to come. Yeah. He never actually said that. Or if he did say it, it would edit it out. But Jax decides that this is the hill he's going to die on. He's like, no one can tell me not to come to your house. Apparently not even you.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Like, that whole scene, Jesse was so uncomfortable. He was so uncomfortable. It's like scratching his neck and looking around, pulling on his collar. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jax is insane. I mean, we know this. Why are you're so full of rage an hour after you get out of rehab?
Oh my God, yeah.
And you're making these very bad choices immediately. Immediately. Oh.
Oh. Terrible.
Well, so Zach then gets Benji from the airport. I just have to say it again. Benji's the fucking cutest thing on that TV. He's so
adorable.
Adorable. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. Yeah. And Zach is really good-looking. Zach's very photogenic.
Oh my God, yeah.
And those two together in a picture, I love it. I love it so much. And as he's on his way to the airport to go pick up Benji, and important topic again, picking up family from the airport, picking up friends, loved ones from the airport. For Zach shows that it's true love. If I'm willing to pick you up from the airport during rush hour traffic, that shows that you mean a lot to me. Like I said, unless you're coming in town to visit me, the chances of me being willing to pick you up are very slim.
Yeah, no.
I'm not gonna do it. In most cases, even Matt will be getting an Uber to the airport. Like, I'm not driving you to the airport.
Oh yeah,
especially
we don't
if it's early in the morning.
Steve and I don't do that to the airport business. Fuck that.
Absolutely not.
Bye.
No, thank you.
I'll wave to you from the window.
But they're also talking about the fact that Jax may be coming to the party later, and Zach's talking shit, rightfully.
Mm-hmm.
Little did we know how fair it was that he was talking shit. And Michelle's saying, you know what, you need to give space for the possibility that Jax has changed. That Jax is making changes, that Jax is making an effort to do better. We need to give him the space to do that.
I would have never said that. Nope. Never would have. Nope, I wouldn't have said that. But
again, I think that you can come out of rehab. I think that you can make positive changes in your life.
Yeah.
I think you can be sober, and I think you can still be an asshole.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who are addicts, who are not, who are good people, and who make terrible choices while they're on drugs, but then they come out of it and they make better choices and they're a better full person. Jax is not one of those people. I don't know why we keep pretending like he might be.
Or people keep thinking he's going to walk in a different person.
Right.
Why do you think that?
Just because he hasn't paid for rehab before?
Oh my God.
Then before the party, we also get a cute little scene of Aaron and Michelle at Aaron's house, which is so cool. I think Aaron has one of my dream houses because it's like this very old, like 1920s style bungalow.
Yeah.
And he's got this cute little yard. And how disappointed were you to find out his dog's name?
What was it?
Kilo. Everything is about cocaine with this man.
Maybe that's why his eyes are like this.
They are so buggy.
Huge.
So buggy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to skip ahead. They showed us in the like little sneak peek for next week.
Yes.
That Jesse confronts Aaron and he's like, did you ever do anything with my wife when we were married?
So bored.
And they just show his face with his big old eyeballs. And it's like, if it's edited so well, because if you hadn't really seen the show, you'd think that this guy's like terrified and in shock because he looks like something from Beetlejuice. But it's just his face.
Yeah.
That's just what his face looks like.
He's probably asleep in that shot. We don't know.
But Aaron does seem like other than his weird fetish with cocaine culture that he's used for his honey and naming his dog after, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how sweet he is with Isabella, and Michelle's like giving him cute little like, you could propose to me and then we could move in. Isabella wants to have a yard to play with your dog in, and that was very sweet. And then he's checking in with her about her mom, and treatments are not going well. So this is her second round of chemo for stage 4 colon cancer, and her body's just deteriorating. I think Michelle is incredibly strong.
Yeah.
I mean, you see her start to cry, but she's just like trying to be like solid for her mom in there. And she's like, I wanted to take Isabella for a week to go spend time with her grandmother, but Jesse said no.
Yeah.
And it's like, how the fuck do you say no to that?
Yeah.
Ugh. So that was very frustrating and upsetting. But we do get into that a little bit more at the party that they're going to have later on. But that night, Jax throws himself a party. Like a man party.
Bro time.
I believe that there is an epidemic in this country where men do not have enough friends. They used to have like clubs, and they used to have, they used to all have to work together and actually be like involved with each other, right? They all worked the fields. Oh my God, doing like barn raisings. I don't know. They were in church together or something. Whereas like now men don't have a lot of friends. I think my dad has one, maybe 2 friends, and he only really likes one of them, right?
Well, yeah.
Except for Steve. Steve is an anomaly. Steve is friends with literally everyone.
Steve has friends. Well, Steve, like I said, people like him. I don't know that he likes them back. That's the problem.
But Matt has, like, a couple friends, but, like, they talk twice a year. And you're like, but I talk to you for, like, an hour before and an hour after we do this podcast, and we're texting all week. Like, there are people that we check in on, but men don't have that. But then, this party, I was like, men shouldn't have friends.
Oh my God,
like,
exactly.
man-friend party.
Gross.
I was like, this is so
This
wrong.
is why. They shouldn't be in the same room together.
This is horrible.
Horrible, yeah.
So everyone starts showing up at this, like, steakhouse restaurant. And Danny is there, and then so is Jason, who, you know, last we saw, they had kind of squashed it, but then they got into the weird fight at Britt's party because Janet was being an asshole. And Jason walks up to Danny and goes, hey, I got your text. You and I aren't good, but we're here for Jax tonight, so let's keep it civil. What?
Oh, I know. I stopped. I hit stop and went, wait a minute, what? And I rewind and I played it again. I thought, oh, okay. Wait.
Danny sent a text apologizing for going hard at Janet.
Yep.
Which I honestly think Janet deserved. He christened it, though. He didn't quite have all the information. He was like, so you guys are good? What about you and Melissa? Are you and Jasmine? What about you and Jasmine? And it's like, no, they just had the talk. Shh.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need to.
Danny. I know.
This would have been good 24 hours ago.
Right. Right.
Now. And Danny's like, I said sorry. And Jason's like, it was too generic. You didn't even know what you were apologizing for.
Okay, Janet.
First of all, not that many people are good at apologies in general. You and I have discussed this. Second of all, I didn't think it was that intense. And Janet was walking around talking about he's grabbing asses. He grabbed an ass.
A year ago.
He apologized for it.
3 times. 3 times he apologized.
Yeah. And he went to marriage counseling because of it. Like, if that's not making amends.
Yeah.
And taking them out to dinner and going, I want to hear everything you have to say. I'm so sorry. I don't think Danny could do anything else. But they're never going to let it go. To just, like, hold it over him forever.
Yeah.
So it's bullshit. Jack shows up. And they all sit down. And they're all ordering. And Jax gets, like, a Diet Coke. I was like, proud of you, Jax. And he makes this big show. And you find out that he went and got a haircut. He went and got his Botox done. Jesus Christ. When you get out of rehab, if the first thing you do is a haircut and Botox, there's something issues. He tells everybody that he wants to be held accountable. He makes it everyone else's job to keep him on the straight and narrow.
Immediately, yeah.
I need you guys to keep me on, hold me accountable. They're like, so you're sober and you're gonna not drink anymore. Does that mean you're not gonna tie one off at Jax's bar anymore? Jason was kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
In a bizarre, what is going on with Jason?
It's not Jason anymore. It's Janet. It's not
weird.
Jason anymore.
It's very odd.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, quiet, like, laid back, even-keeled guy is not, he's so different than what he was last season / the very beginning of the season. It does not make sense to me. Jax explains that while he is sober right now, he doesn't think that his problem is actually drugs and alcohol. What it really is his anger. And then he drinks and does drugs to numb the anger, but it actually makes him more angry. So he will still have a couple glasses of wine, but he won't ever get shit-faced again.
Okay.
But then also on Watch What Happens Live, he said he was like 221 days sober. Something like that.
Nobody believes that.
Well, apparently he's getting randomly drug tested, which he doesn't have to do legally. Just so everyone knows. Legally, they can't take away his phone legally. Also, legally, he doesn't have to be drug tested, but he's willing to do it. So Brittany will randomly drug test him.
Mm-hmm.
So Easter, she made him take a drug test, and he passed the drug test, so he was allowed to hang out with them during Easter.
Okay.
He starts kind of going after Danny for going to the Brits bar. And he was like, it was a real slap in the face. And Danny's like, I didn't do it. I didn't put that thing together.
Yeah.
I didn't wear the Brits shirt.
Yeah.
I felt like that was too far. I was just going to go.
Yeah.
I was there with my wife. I'm being supportive of my friend. It's a party. Obligated to be on camera for a certain amount of hours. He's like, what the fuck? Why are you so angry? You're coming after me. You're saying that anger is the thing that you've worked on. And he is just attacking Danny. And then he's like, so guys, how was Santa Barbara? And then they do a montage of all of the shit show that Santa Barbara was, which was fun. Then they're like, yeah, it was good. It was really nice. The weather was great. It was beautiful out there. And he's like, really, what about those hidden bottles of tequila? He's trying to throw Danny under the bus again. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm just happy that there's other people who have issues too. Mm-hmm. And then he starts digging into Danny about Danny has a drinking problem. And then we've got Jason across the table going, yeah, no, you were blackout drunk. And he's like, I was not blackout drunk. He was drunk and he had had more than 2 ciders. But he wasn't blackout drunk. He wasn't out of control. Mm-hmm. He was free with his words, but I don't think he was belligerent. Yeah. What the fuck? Why is everyone coming at Danny?
Yeah. I think it's because Janet/Jason told Jax to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But why are they slipping Jax information to sit there and make Danny look like a monster?
Yeah, because they hate Danny.
Yeah. And then there's more conversation on Watch What Happens Live about it. They did the work the polls. Mm-hmm. Whose side are you on, Danny's or Jason's? And overwhelmingly, they're on Danny's side.
Yeah.
And Jax is doing the exact same shit that Jason and Janet did on Watch What Happens Live, which was, they were like, well, you don't know. Just wait. Well, maybe more information will come out.
Talking about.
Do you know that Danny and Nia have quit the show?
I think that's real.
They put it on their Instagram. Is that not real?
I don't know. I don't know that that's real, but okay.
Was that a lie? Because I'm not seeing anything.
I think it's a fib. I think it's a Janet plant.
Fall for the shit. See, this is why I have to be very careful about the media that I consume, because I fall for it every fucking time. I thought that Jax had been fired. I thought that they had quit. I thought that Casey Anthony was nice.
Oh my God.
I fall for everything.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. If they do decide to quit, I totally get why.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I will miss them because I think Danny's funny. I think Nia is a goddess, sweet baby angel. And I think that would be a super big bummer, but I totally would get it if they did.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Please don't.
Here's the other thing. And Matt made this point, so I want to give him credit. It literally could be any person on this show. Janet could have gone over anybody. And I think it's because Janet wants to be the number one guy in this group. She wants to be the number one couple, right? And it was like neck and neck between her and Nia because Jax and Brittany falling apart. The bougiest, hottest couple, Jesse and Michelle, getting divorced. It's a shit show, right?
Yeah.
Kristen is a mess.
Kristen, yeah.
Kristen's Kristen, and Luke is Timu Tintin. Yeah, if they could pick anybody and have that exact argument.
Yeah.
They could do it to Zach. They could do it to Jasmine. They could do it to Brittany. They need to have a storyline and they want to be the number one couple. They're like, look at how good we are with our brand new baby. And my labor law lawyer husband. And I'm best friends with Sheena Shea and Lala. I think she just wants to compete. And I'm going to be honest, who wants to compete with Miss USA? Like, Nia is beautiful and kind and reasonable.
Yeah.
And open about her fertility struggles.
Yeah.
And baby blues. Nia's basically perfect.
Yeah.
So let's make her into a secret liar who wants to brush everything under the rug. That was
Matt
said.
ridiculous.
It could have been anyone, and they just picked them, and so I think that's why they picked them.
That's good. I could get behind that.
I need to make one of the boards that I can be like, this is all the strings. This is my conspiracy. But yeah. So later on at Jesse's house, and they are having the surprise party for Benji. And there's a couple things just at the front of this house. One, the party's happening at Jesse's house because Zach's apartment is too small to have this surprise party. It's just teeny tiny little apartment. So Jesse offers his house. Jesse, super bougie, he's got, a bar set up. He put all the fancy stuff out. He wants to really host a nice little story,
kind.
which I thought was nice. I'm wondering if that was one of the things that he put in that binder that Michelle talked about, that he created a binder about how he was going to, like, funny one-liners.
Yeah.
Little quips and things that he wanted to be able to say. Also plans for how he could really embed himself in the show. So, like, befriending Kristen was one of his plans. I'm wondering if befriending Zach is also one of the plans, because he and Zach did not get along last season.
Yeah. Which,
I'll be honest, if you offer to host a party that I want to throw at your very nice house, then I'm going to forgive that you shoved me in a hallway at a benefit. Like, right? That's fine with me. But no one can figure out his front door.
I loved that so much. And then in the after show, he's like, why is everybody grabbing the balls?
Yeah, it's this very old door that it's got these big balls. It's like French doors, but then it's also Spanish colonial style.
Of doorknobs.
Wrought iron all over it, or brass. Yeah. But then there's a normal door handle
underneath.
So you can actually lock it, because it's an old house.
Nobody can figure it out.
No,
we watched couple after couple pick the wrong doorknob.
Again and again and again and again. Yeah. Just everyone's fondling the doors and getting very frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Michelle made a cute sign with balloons on it that was like, surprise, Benji, welcome to the US. And
Zach was so mad.
When Zach shows up, they all go into the backyard for the surprise party, but then Michelle's an idiot and forgot, like, put the sign up for right when he walks in, so they have to walk through the house. So he sees the sign before he sees everyone yelling surprise.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cute.
That's funny.
That's funny. Like, in the moment, I would be pissed off, but then that becomes, like, a cute, funny thing.
And then I wrote, Nia pulls Janet for a chat, like on Love Island.
Can I
pull you for a chat? Oh, fuck.
Janet was like, yeah, of course. And Nia just immediately, like, very calmly.
Oh my God, she's so good at that. I'm not good at that.
Poised. She's like, I would like some clarity on what's going on, because I'm hearing that you're still saying things.
Yeah.
And Janet calls Danny horrible. And you saw that hit Nia in the eyeball. And she was like, horrible. Horrible.
Really?
And she's like, yeah, he's blackout drunk. He's got this horrible drinking problem, and you're not willing to acknowledge it, and you're just sweeping it under the rug. And she's like, you're throwing this shit around. You need to watch your mouth. You need to be thinking about what you're saying and who you're saying it about. You need to stop with this. And she's like, you're trying to bring a bad light on my husband, and I don't understand. And Janet's like, I'm just telling the truth. She has done this multiple times when people go and, like, let's talk about this. When she's confronted, she sits there and, like, digs her heels in until someone goes, this is fucking exhausting. Fine. There's some truth to it. So fine, I'm willing to say this, and I'm sorry that I reacted and called you a fucking bitch or whatever. And then she's like, I know I'm kind of a fucking bitch sometimes. Sometimes I'm a Karen. I am a little entitled. And then they make up and it's nice. But Nia's not doing that.
No.
Nia's like, you're crossing a line and you need to stop. And Janet, I think, thought that Nia was going to come and go like, hey, can you please stop?
Yeah.
Please. I know that he was not nice. I wish he was nicer to you, but can you please stop? And Nia was not doing that. Yeah. And he's standing up for her husband, I think, in a very real way, that she's entitled. And I think that's the correct way to do that. Yeah. So it goes, okay, I'm out, and gets up and walks away because she doesn't know how to handle that conflict. Yeah. She cannot take any responsibility for what she's doing. She will double down over and over and over again rather than accept any accountability until after she knows she's definitely safe. Yeah. She's hell-bent on taking them down. She sucks. Also, did you notice that Jenna was there again?
Oh my God, yeah.
And Jenna's like hitting on Jesse.
Yeah, weird.
Jenna is the new Janet. She's trying to wiggle her way in. But at least Jenna has backstory with some of these people.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
I'm actually here for it. More Jenna. I think
maybe,
I love a redhead.
Make Jesse maybe nicer or normal, or we can deal with him.
I think she's messy. I get a messy vibe from Jenna. She's like, isn't it weird that, like, I fucked Aaron? So crazy.
I'm gonna go tell everybody.
And then the king of FOMO shows up at the party, and he's fashionably late.
Gross.
So he could make a big entrance.
Ooh, boo.
And then he starts doing his song and dance about just spent 7 hours a day in rehab, and I was in rehab for the last 30 days, and I've got a lot I got to work on, and this is going to be a real uphill climb for me, and I would like to be held accountable. I love that Jesse's life coach was there for some reason.
I know.
And he was gunning for that camera time. He was like, "So Jax, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's going on, Jax?
Gross.
What's going on with you?" And Jax is like, "Oh, you would like me to take some opportunity to talk about myself?"
Sure. Yeah.
So obnoxious. He just starts throwing out shit immediately after talking about what a victim he is and how hard he's been working. He then goes, "I really hope she's spending time with Cruz."
Oh,
and I think he said that to Kristen.
Yeah.
And Kristen is the best friend in that group. Like, true good friendship. She has been friends with Jax for, what now, like 15, maybe 20 years? Who knows, right?
She had sex with Jax.
Yes. Well, and I think he went down on her during Drive.
Yes.
While her boyfriend was asleep in the other room.
Sorry, spoiler.
But now they just feel like brother and sister. You know how that happens where you
so gross.
Have sex with someone a couple times and they feel like your sibling?
Ugh. Anyway.
I love that we did that at the same time.
That was for Matt.
But she's like, Jax, she's a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can't come for her for not being a good enough mom. Like, and especially to Kristen. Kristen's like, really? You're going to say that Brittany's a bad mom? Brittany's the best mom. How fucking dare you? Where have you been?
Yeah.
But she's like, I want good things for you, Jax. I want this to be good. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's pissed at Kristen for not going, oh my God, you're working so hard. It is so hard for you. You're doing such a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Brittany's being mean to you. That's so hard for you. And then he walks back and he's like, I'm so jealous of everyone drinking. Can everyone acknowledge that he's sober again? Please, every 10 minutes, somebody has to say that they're proud of him, or else he'll unravel. And in one of the corners, Nia and Danny sit Jesse down.
Yeah.
And are like, hey, what's going on here? Because Isabella should be able to go see her grandma. Like, are you going to let Isabella go see her grandma? She's dying and it's awful. I'm curious about your feeling on this. Jesse explains that he wasn't actually told how sick Michelle's mom was.
Mm-hmm.
And that he does think that Isabella needs to go spend as much time as possible with her grandmother. Yeah. However, Michelle and he need to sit down and have a talk with Isabella to explain what she's about to have to go through. And, she's 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
Her parents are getting divorced. She's having to move. Like, there's a lot on this little girl's plate, and this just feels like too much. But he does want her to go see the grandmother. Mm-hmm. But they just have to have that conversation first. It's just logistics after that. I don't know if I believe him.
No, I don't believe him at all.
Which feels shitty to say.
Yeah.
But I don't feel comfortable with her going to go see her grandma until I sit down and have a talk with her.
Yeah, no.
We need to sit down together and have a talk with her. If someone's mother is dying, you say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What do you need to do? I think that we should have a talk about our daughter. So how can we do this? Like, what do you need from me? You can advocate for your daughter while also letting it all happen. And I think he's put in roadblocks.
Oh, yeah.
Although I'm willing to say that there is a solid chance that Michelle isn't telling him all of the details of her mother dying. There might be some withholding of information, but I don't think that's enough of an excuse at this point.
Like, what else, though? What other information? Like,
maybe she didn't say the chemo didn't work. I don't see Michelle being, like, super open with him about that kind of stuff. I think
but why would she have to?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I don't think she does have to. I just don't. I think it is believable for me to say, like, maybe he didn't actually know how sick the grandmother was.
I believe that. Yeah.
I believe that. But then once she's like, I need Isabella to go spend a week with my mom because my mom's dying.
Yeah.
Then you go, okay, what do we got to do?
Yeah.
You don't go, well, we need to sit her down. I'll let you know when we can have a talk with Isabella and then she can go see her grandmother. Like, that doesn't seem fair. So,
nope.
I don't know. That kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, that was sad. But
I think also Nia having that conversation might have been super helpful. Because he has such a voice of reason in that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then Zach stops Jax from seeing Brittany. That was my favorite scene.
I mean, we want to talk about belligerently drunk. I don't think he was belligerently drunk, but he was belligerent.
That was awesome.
I love Zach.
I know.
So Zach is a good friend to Brittany. We've talked about this. He isn't getting enough credit from Brittany for what a great friend he is. Brittany has been avoiding Jax this entire party.
Yes, just walking in a maze.
Wherever she can make sure she's not in the same room with him. Yep. She's listening to his voice and it's triggering her. But she's like, I'm not here to ruin the party. And people are checking. And she's like, no, I'm okay. I'm just going to stay over here. It's fine. I don't want to see him. I don't want to talk to him. But I'm fine. I'm over here. I think she handled that as well as she could. But then...
Are they in the laundry room or something? Where were they?
Maybe like a pantry?
Laundry
room, something?
Yeah, okay.
But it seemed like right outside that door is probably access to the back patio.
Yeah, okay. At least say hi to each other.
They're like, hi. And he's like, yeah, thanks for inviting me. And he's like, why the fuck are you here?
I didn't.
You just spent yesterday rage texting. Zach, you can see he is fighting so hard to find the words where he's like, I'm proud of you for what you've done. Good for you. Congratulations. Good
These
job.
words suck in my mouth that I'm saying.
Yeah. It's like peanut butter. He's like, good. He's like, yeah. And he starts going through his whole spiel of like, I'm 31 days sober and I had 7 hours a day of therapy. And Zach's like, and here's my cue. So in between those, were you working on things with your therapist? And he's like, yeah, I was journaling. I was spending a lot of time and he's like, and rage texting? I'm doing all of that? And he's like, yeah, well, she took my son away from me. First of all, we know that Brittany took Cruz to go meet up with Jax so Jax could see him.
Yeah.
But we also know that Jax hasn't bothered to try and see Cruz since he got out of rehab.
Yeah.
Again, haircut, man dinner with all of his man friends, Botox.
Right. And then he says, was it the after show that he said, well, I wanted to look nice before I saw my son? Was that what he said?
He's like, I wanted to make sure I looked like fresh. And like I wanted him to see his dad looking good. And
okay.
Like, he's 3. He does not give a shit about whether or not you have like, forehead lines.
Gross. So gross.
Fucking, so dumb. Zach shuts down the whole thing. Okay, she didn't take your son away from you. You also haven't tried to see him yet.
Yeah.
And also you've been rage texting the whole time. So like what work actually got done from whatever random rehab. And he's like, actually, it was a beautiful rehab. And he's like, yeah, but it was a fucking resort.
Awesome.
So good. And he's like, well, we aren't talking about the text messages. We're not talking about whatever I did 5 years ago. Like he didn't rage text the night before.
Yeah.
He's just dismissing it all.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the old me from 48 hours ago. And he's like, also don't go into my bar anymore. I don't want to talk to you. I'm going to go talk to Brittany. And Zach's like, she doesn't want to talk to you. Zach rides so hard for her. And he's like, well, that's my business, not your business. And he's like, well, no, you're at my party. So you can't go talk to her right now. She doesn't want to talk to you. So, and Jax is like, I don't need this aggravation. You're being rude. I don't need this. I'm going. Like he's taking the high road by leaving. It's like if you hadn't taking the high road would have been not going there in the first place.
Right. Amazing.
You went in there to try and make that party about you.
Mm-hmm. And to make Brittany uncomfortable. You know he did. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he just sucks. The next day he's actually back at the house. Brittany is not there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's back at the house with Jason and Tom Schwartz. Oh, Tom Schwartz. I genuinely feel badly for Tom Schwartz.
He's in a pickle.
In this, like, he has been accidentally shackled to Jax in a way. It's so funny because they're showing Jax moving out of this place, and then they show a flashback to the beginning of him getting Jax's bar ready to open. And Tom Schwartz says, just so you know, a year from now, you're going to be broke and moving in with me. Getting a divorce. And look at what's going on.
Yeah.
Tom Schwartz was trying to make a joke, and it turns out he's Nostradamus.
He's an oracle.
Amazing. And then he's like walking around the house and he's like, well, I'm taking this and I'm taking this. And he's like, I've done everything that she's asked, but I'm still being punished.
Yeah.
She's not giving me my way. And we're like, what have you done? You haven't given her the money.
Yeah.
I swear to fucking God. Give that to me. Oh my God. Do you know how much editing I'm going to have to do because of this?
Mommy.
Hi. You're both hi. Okay. It's a little teen mom humor for you. He doesn't understand why he's being punished. And it even pops up. I don't remember if it was Watch What Happens Live or the after show where he's like, why is she so hurt? Like, why does she want to get divorced in this way? I never cheated. First of all, you did cheat on her with Faith, and we just don't know about any of the other things that probably happened. But if it never happened, fine. You threw a table at her. You were verbally abusive to her. You have been financially abusive to her. How? Yeah. He's like, I never cheated. Fine, you never cheated. You threw a fucking table at your wife and injured her. Yeah. Why does she want a divorce? Give him a whole list, and he's like, oh, yeah, well, but he's like, I didn't cheat, therefore she's the villain.
She's the bad guy. Yeah.
It's fucking
terrible.
Fucking sucks. But yeah, so they're going around the house. Jason is there, and Jack says that Brittany had blocked him, so he has no way of contacting her. Brittany says in the after show that she unblocked him from everything the Wednesday before he got out.
Yeah.
So he could, but he just never bothered to check, I guess. And Jason says, don't take the computer. She wants to log out of everything.
Yeah.
But then you can take the computer. But she's got stuff that's still logged in. So she just wants to be able to log out. Also, leave a key to the house. And on your phone, log out of all the cameras.
Yeah.
And Jax is like, not until I get to see my son.
My lord.
And Tom Schwartz and Jason are both like,
no.
Come on, dude.
No.
Just say okay. And I think, was Jesse there too? He's like, I thought you're supposed to be eating humble pie right now.
Yeah.
It's like, this is where you chill the fuck out and you say, okay, and you do what you're supposed to do. And he's like, that's not fair. I shouldn't have to still be in trouble for X, Y, and Z. So he's, even in that house, he's like taking shit. He's deciding that he's going to hold stuff hostage until he gets his way. And he's like, she's punishing me. And it's like, no, you're not doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be on apology tour. You're supposed to be making things right. And instead, and he's like, I'm a control freak. I had control issues. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
It's like, for some reason, he thinks that he owns that he was doing drugs. He owns that he was drinking. He owns that he was being manipulative. Therefore, it's a wash. If you continue to do awful shit, that doesn't erase it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how he thinks that he is in the clear.
I know. That's a narcissism for you right there. Yes. Is what that is. Yeah.
Brittany says it took over a week before he asked to see Cruz.
Oh yeah, it was like 10 days or something.
She's like, I've never kept him from him. And then Jax is saying that that's not true, that Brittany said that she wasn't ready for Cruz to be with Jax yet. And no one believes that.
No one believes that.
We watched Jax live for over a decade.
Yep.
Brittany doesn't lie.
Nope.
We have not seen her get caught in a lie.
No.
This fucking sucks.
Yep.
And all he does is talk about, I was a terrible husband. I'm a great father. I was a terrible husband. And you're like, no, I don't really think that that's true.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying that Cruz is his reason for everything. I think Botox is his reason for everything.
Yeah, a little bit. Your haircut is. Yeah.
It's just icky. And it's also a bummer that, like, Brittany's sitting there getting called a liar, getting told what a villain she is in this divorce. She's literally like, I want you to get drug tested, but you can still come over. Later on, you see Brittany come to the house and you see all the stuff. Janet has actually brought the computer. Brittany's walking around the house. She had turned all the photos of them together around, which is petty. Fine. He went around and turned them back around the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also had thrown away a bunch of her stuff, including this giant framed picture of Cruz and her father with a Cruz on his shoulders. Why did he throw that in the dumpster?
What a butthole. Yep.
That's like
his son's picture. It has
That's
nothing.
his son with his grandfather. Like, why are you being a dickhole?
Yeah.
Janet's trying to kind of be there and be supportive. Brittany does tell her, hey, I did file. Janet's very proud of Brittany.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Brittany's like, do you want to know something funny, though? And she explains to us that Jax has a burner account.
Yeah.
Named Frank Drennan, where he goes online. Jax has been using a burner account to comment and get in fights with people online. So anytime there will be a post about Jax, he'll go in and talk himself up. So someone was talking about how he got out of rehab and he's turning over a new leaf. And he's like, this guy is a legend. Well, Jax wrote that he's a legend, but on his burner account. And he'll also get in fights with people. And so then people respond to him. And somebody was like, yeah, in his own mind. And Matt clocked it instantly. As we were watching, Matt's like, oh my God, from Naked Gun. That's funny. Did you know that? Leslie Nielsen's character? Except for the fact that that's not the character's name.
No, and it's spelled wrong.
Yeah, it's Frank Drebin with B's. So the whole thing's wrong, which is delightful.
Yeah.
Janet explains that she does also have a burner account, but you do it to lurk. She says it's you look and you don't touch, like the strip club. You look at all the things, but you don't engage in any of it. I just think that that's fun, and it makes total sense to me that he would do that. The best part of all of that was that he also had accidentally been DMing Brittany from the burner account, which is how she found out that it was still active. Jax. It just tracks 100%. Then you have like a quick little Danny and Nia moment, which I want more of these, honestly. They get all their kids down for a nap. I had twins, and getting them both down at the same time was like a miracle. Henry just didn't sleep. Sam, actually, to this day, when Sam goes to sleep and he passes out, because Henry was so fucking loud all the time, Sam can sleep through anything. Henry had night terrors for years. Would not awake, walking around the house screaming, hysterically screaming and crying. And Sam's like he can sleep through anything. I think it's actually something that later in life he'll appreciate his brother for, because he can sleep through anything. But they get all their kids down, and then one still escapes. They're like, fuck. And Luke shows up. So Luke is planning a trip to Maui for the group. However, Detective Doty, he needs to keep out of this. So he is asking very sweet, pious, honest Nia and Danny to say that it's their trip. And they're inviting everyone. Yeah. And then, so he can throw Kristen off the scent so that he can propose to her on this trip. Yeah. And they're very excited. I actually like them as couple friends. Their lives are so different, but then they have found these very specific things to connect on. I actually enjoy watching their friendship. It's very cute. And I think Nia is a very positive influence on Kristen.
Oh, yeah.
And then the end of the show.
You've been served. Oh, yeah, this is for my podcast.
It was such a weird reaction. I mean, I've never been served. But Jax is at his new place. He's showing Tom Schwartz around. As they're hanging out, the doorbell rings. Jax goes to the door, and he's like, Jason Couchy? Yeah, you've been served. And he's like, oh yeah, I know. And he's telling the guy that served him. He's like, I know what this is. It's from my podcast. I know. And you're like, okay.
Weirdo.
No. Why are you defensive for this poor process server? Is that what they're called? Yeah. But he goes inside, and Tom Schwartz makes a joke. Oh, you've been served? What, divorce papers? And then he's like, no, that's actually divorce papers. And Jax is like, yeah, I kind of knew that this was coming. Like, he's trying to brush the whole thing off. This is where we need your legal expertise. Tom Schwartz has been through this. And he's like, oh no, as far as divorce papers go, like, this is a love letter. I want it to be expeditious. We want to save as much money as possible, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, great. Yeah, I want it to be like how it is for you and Katie. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, I mean, the custody part's rough, but like beyond that. And he's like, why? What does the cut? Jax didn't even look. Tom Schwartz can flip through and understand what's going on. Jax has no idea.
Tom Schwartz, people.
Tom Schwartz is the one that he's looking to for information on this.
Right. Hello.
And Tom Schwartz is like, the custody part's rough. And Jax keeps comparing their divorces in the after show and on Watch What Happens Live. But he's like, yeah, I want it to be like with him and Katie where they're dropping off the dogs. Stop comparing your child to the dogs.
To a dog.
It's not the same.
No, sir.
It's not.
No, sir.
But in the after show, and then also on Watch What Happens Live, Jax talks about how he was surprised, but he wasn't surprised. If she hadn't filed, he was going to file. But the way that she went about it, and I'm going to be honest, that kind of triggered me. Because I have had relationships and experiences with people like Jax Taylor, where they can never really be held accountable, and then they'll say all the right things and about how, and they'll sound so emotionally intelligent, and then 2 seconds later they're turning it on you.
Yeah.
I wanted you to go about it the right way. Yeah, I wanted her to file for a divorce, but I'm not happy with how she went about it. The way that she went about it was really wrong. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
When people are like, yeah, she did what she was supposed to do, but it was the way she did it. And they twist it, no matter what, she's gonna be in the wrong.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up. It makes me insane.
Yeah.
And then he took the paperwork that she had sent him and he filled it out himself and he filled it all out wrong. And when he turned it in, the court's like, none of this is correct.
Mm-hmm.
She said that he ended up in contempt of court for not filling it in correctly. And so he had to hire a lawyer. We just go through mediation and not get a divorce. And she said, no, I'm getting a divorce. Doesn't mediation still lead to a divorce?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you maybe don't have to have a lawyer for mediation, but you have to hire a mediator. He's like, yeah, she made me hire a lawyer. He had to hire a lawyer because he filled the paperwork out so horrifically incorrectly.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that you could be in contempt of court for filling out paperwork wrong.
So she said he was almost in contempt. And what that means is there was a date timeline to turn it in. And they were going to...
Of course he would wait.
And they were going to miss that date. That's all that means. There was no, he's going to get arrested. There's none of that. They were just going to miss the deadline to meet. That's all.
So then they'd have to start from scratch?
Yep. Ugh. That's all. That's all. And so
they said that the divorce is going to happen officially July 21st. How much of that information are we going to get? It's California. TMZ picks up a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We'll probably get it all. I'm sure we'll get it all.
I would love to get all of the information.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I'm sure we will.
He talks about all of this in the Watch What Happens Live. People are not happy with Jax. The internet is up in arms. He's an abuser. They don't think he should have the platform of being on television.
Yeah.
I fell for the thing about him being fired. He hasn't been fired, apparently. I'm going to sneeze.
I heard that Kristen said that he shouldn't have been asked to be on Watch What Happens Live.
She did.
Oh, okay.
She did. Andy Cohen actually read that tweet. And Jax Taylor talks about how this is his show quite a bit. He was like, yeah, well, she's not the boss. Andy's like, okay, but that's her opinion. He's like, she's entitled to have an opinion. It doesn't actually mean anything. And then Kristen said something else nasty to him right after. She was like, how about Jax can shut the fuck up? Keep my name out of his mouth.
Oh, okay.
She just had her baby, too.
I know. I'm so happy for her.
A little baby girl named Kaya.
Yeah.
Andy Cohen basically just starts reading off all the nasty things that people are saying about Jax. And Andy Cohen is clearly pissed at Jax. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the power corporate structure is of that, but Andy Cohen's sick of him.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you want to respond to these people who think that you shouldn't have a platform and don't have a right to even be on tonight? Jax is so fucking smug. Yeah, I can see why people would be really triggered, and I'm so sorry about that. That would be hard for a lot of people to watch. He's talking about how he wishes he could have a better divorce like Tom had. And Andy Cohen's like, then be kind. You could have a good, amicable, be kind. And then another part, Jax is like, my biggest regret is that I didn't ask for a divorce sooner. My biggest regret is that we stayed together as long as we did. And Andy Cohen's shouldn't your biggest regret be how you treated Brittany?
Yeah.
The way that you treated her? And Jax is like, oh yeah.
That too.
Yeah. But I never cheated on her. And you're like, I'm sorry, I'm never going to stop saying he threw a table at her.
Yeah.
And she was black and blue.
Yeah. This is why
punched holes through walls.
This man should not have a platform like this. Exactly.
Part of me feels that way. Another part of me Honestly, I will watch him. If he's on television, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to hate watch it, but I'm going to hate watch it.
I can't.
I honestly think there's part of this is good for people to see because they might draw parallels in their life where they go, holy fuck, he's a piece of shit. And my boyfriend just did the same thing. And this is what it could end up like. And I want Brittany to get paid. I want him to be able to pay her back for all of the shit that he has done with his taxes. Who hasn't made a mistake on their taxes? I've never made a $1.2 million mistake on my taxes.
Yeah, on purpose. I think he did it on purpose, but...
Also, I don't think I've ever made a mistake on my taxes because TurboTax is a thing. And if your taxes are more complicated than that, H&R Block, right down the street. It's not that hard.
Also, if you're a celebrity, you hire someone to do that for you.
Right? It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
The other part of this, Tom Schwartz literally says in Watch What Happens Life, Andy Cohen is asking him like what he's seen. And he's like, are you asking me if he's changed? No, he hasn't changed. There are parts of him that are more aware and parts of him that I'm seeing some growth, but no, he's still a menace. He will still rage text. And he's like, but I'm holding space for him to grow and change. How long is everyone going to continue to wait for that to happen?
I think that's their problem, right? That is Tom Schwartz and Jesse and Jason and all of those toxic people. I call them toxic people. That is their problem. And that toxicity is always going to be there because of Jax. And poor people like Brittany that have beat their head against a brick wall and their forehead has caved in and their brains are showing and they're tired of it now, have stepped away. And unfortunately, they're still in this toxic friendship group, but they can't deal with Jax anymore. They have come to some sort of, I just can't deal with this anymore. But these other fucking people are like, I'm just going to hold space. I'm just going to be there for you, where they're not going to get it. He's going to be like this till he's dead. He's not going to change.
Yeah, I don't think he's capable of it.
And you have to choose. I'm all about choices. You have to make these hard choices in life to choose to be around this kind of a person. And if you choose to be around this kind of a person, you say, yes, this is who he is. This is what he does. And that's it. And that's it.
And I think, unpopular opinion possibly, maybe not, I don't know. When a couple breaks up, choose a side. Just pick a side. Make it easier for everyone. Don't make everyone hang out together.
Nope.
Don't make Jesse and Michelle be together. Don't make Brittany go to a party with Jax.
Nope.
Let everyone not be cool. And eventually your kid's marriage. And those are the times that you get together and you are cordial. And then after that, don't talk anymore. Unless you absolutely have to for legal reasons.
Right. Yep. There are people in my family that I don't talk to because of these reasons. I choose not to talk to them because they're not healthy and they're not safe for me. And they're my goddamn family members. But these people are choosing to be in this friend group. And this is amazing to me. And I just don't understand. But then they go on these shows and they go on social media and they're like, it's going to be fine. And oh, he's going to change. And oh, right, maybe. So no, you're choosing to be there. Just say, I'm choosing to be his friend. I'm going to stay. Okay, then that's fine. That's what you're doing. I can't do that. I would make a safer choice for myself. And you can. People don't understand that you can do that.
Absolutely. You can be done.
Yeah.
I used to think it was a sign of maturity to stay friends with your exes. I was like, if you can remain friends after, that means that you're both good people. And
oh my God, no.
And it's like, not being friends anymore doesn't even have to mean that you're not good people.
No.
You can be a good person. Don't fucking talk to me though.
Yep. No.
I mean, you saw that text I got. Weird.
Yeah.
No. Matt was sitting next to me and I was like, look! So speaking of banging a head on the wall and gruesome bloody gore everywhere.
Oh my God.
Do you want to do some true crime story time?
True crime story time. Oh my gosh.
This story was so crazy. I'm so glad that you made me watch this. All right, so let's talk about episode 3, final part of the Mortician.
Oh my God, the Mortician. Yeah, well, they picked up right at the death of our Tim Waters friend again, because they're just all convinced that David has murdered this poor man. So they're talking about it, but they also say, yeah, we think that David Sconce has murdered another person named Ron Jordan. And let me tell you, I know you're quite younger than I am, but when they showed this picture of this guy named Ron Jordan, and yes, he was in a black and white picture, and he had long hair, and this kid was 25 years old, but he looked like Leaf. What's his last name from
Garrett?
the 70s? Leaf Garrett from the 70s. Did you think that too?
I thought he was really hot.
Very cute. Anyway, so they talked about the death of this gentleman named Ron Jordan. And this kid used to work for David. He used to transport the bodies for the Lamb Funeral Home for cremation. So Ron used to, I guess, see what David was doing with these commingling of the bodies and removing of the organs and stealing the gold from the teeth. And he was very uncomfortable with it. And he finally told David, hey, look, I saw nothing. I see nothing. I don't know what's going on. I will tell nobody. I promise. I really won't say or do anything. And after all of this, they find Ron dead, hanging. And they say it was from suicide. But nobody believes it. Nobody believes that this kid would commit suicide. He was well educated. He had a very cute girlfriend, and nobody believed that. They all believed that David killed this kid. So Ron said, if anything happens to me, you got to take a look at David, because I'm a little scared of him. And he knew that I knew stuff was going on. But then they asked David if he knew Ron, and he was like, yeah, I knew this kid named Ron. I didn't have a problem with him. He used to work for me. I found out later he was gay. I didn't really care he was gay, but then, I just wouldn't bend over and tie my shoes in front of him. And I was just like, what an ass. Like this, whatever. Who says that?
I mean, this guy was gross.
Yeah.
Right?
What
like,
kind
as
of
it
comment is that? So.
But it was like, part of me was like, dude, it's 2025. But also, he's been in prison.
That's true.
Since the 80s.
That's true. Well, anyway, yeah, they asked David about it. He's like, I didn't do it. I didn't kill this guy. I don't know what you're talking about. So then they cut to all these news stories about David and his family. Time magazine did a story about him and his family. They asked David about these news stories, and David said, look, I was, me and my family were sensationalized. These story headlines, they called our family Hitler.
Yeah. Well, they did
I didn't quite understand that reference.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, because they were burning bodies.
I guess. Yeah, maybe.
And stealing their body parts and things like that.
Yeah.
I loved that they did a reenactment.
Oh my God, yes.
Was it 60 minutes or 2020 or something?
It was terrible. Terrible.
So, made for TV movie.
Reenact. Yeah, he went on TV. He, at any point, he would say, look, I'm innocent. My family's innocent. He was always going on TV doing all of that. Yeah, Hitler Mortician and Hitler Crime Boss and all of these stupid things. So then he said they had, in 1988, they did their preliminary hearing. I don't know if you know what a preliminary hearing is.
No, I mean, kind of, not really.
So this is interesting. A preliminary hearing is to find probable cause. That's it. It took 6 months. They did this hearing for 6 months to find probable cause. It wasn't a trial. They did a 6-month hearing to find probable cause. They called 99 witnesses to find probable cause to bind this case up to the district court, because they wanted to find probable cause that these people had committed a felony. That's what a preliminary hearing is.
I feel like that should be kind of open and shut. If it's not even the full, right?
Yes.
That's the problem there. Okay.
Yes. So I have never, ever heard of a preliminary hearing taking 6 months. The longest I have personally seen a preliminary hearing is 5 days, is 1 week at my job. Mm-hmm. But 6 months and 99 witnesses, that is unbelievable and unreal. Typically what they call it like a fishing expedition. Each side wants to see what the other side is going to say kind of during trial, what their witnesses have and stuff like that. But all the judge is looking for is if there's probable cause enough to bind this over for a felony charge. And that is it. When he said it took.
Why do you think it took that long?
I don't know why they needed to do that for 6 months. I honestly don't. I cannot believe that this judge let this go on for 6 months. If it were my judge would have said, absolutely not. This is not going to go on this long. No. But yes, so it took 6 months. They had 99 witnesses. Johnny was one of the employees that testified. He said he didn't want to do it, but he did it anyway. Mm-hmm. Andre testified. But then David said, look, all these employees testified so they could either not go to jail, mm-hmm. or have something wiped away clean from their record. And Andre, one of the, what was it called? Big Men Unlimited. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he said, look, I did it so they would wipe my slate clean. So he admitted doing that. So he testified against David and his family. They said when the victims got up there to testify that the defense attorneys were really adversarial towards them, right? Saying, look, you signed this contract that said that they could remove body parts and they could remove tissue, and that you had the consent of the next of kin to do that. And the victims were like... That part was
wild to me.
I know. And the victims couldn't believe that.
They had a juror in the documentary. Yeah. She did not look old enough.
I know. I said that to Steve. I said she had to have been like 19 or 20 when this happened. Because she looked beautiful.
Good.
Now.
And young.
Yeah.
So that was in the 80s. That was 40 years ago. She looked 45.
100%. Oh, I know.
It was some of the stuff that they had where they had clearly snuck it in to it. Because you're not looking at... I
don't know. You're so upset and bereaved, right, when you're trying to do all this
word
stuff.
Word for word, the contract, especially if it's several pages.
No! My God. Anyway, so they go to David's wife, and she said, during that time I was running out of money, and I went to my in-laws and said, will you help me? And they said, no, go on welfare. Get out of here. Bye.
Kids.
Bye.
Yeah.
And we're saving money for David and our attorneys and getting him. She said, I didn't know 90% of what was going on. And she was really upset about a lot of it. People were saying that David carried guns and routinely threatened people. Sometimes he carried 2 guns at a time. That he would make plans to kill his competitors and threaten his employees. At one point, while the preliminary hearing was going on during the 6 months period, they talked to this other cremation mortuary owner named Elias Stefan. And he said that the detective showed up to his place and said, we have 2 people in custody that they say David Sconce hired them to kill you. And he was like, what the actual fuck?
Just because he...
Yeah. Just because he bought...
He outbid David Sconce for a business.
Yeah, for a business. And David was pissed off about it. And we find out it was... I call him the guy in the shadows. He was one of the...
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, yeah. David hired me and a buddy $10,000, and we followed Ely around for a month, and we had sticks of dynamite, and we had blasting caps, and we found out where he lived, and we were going to kill him, and then we got arrested. So I was just like, oh my God, fucking God. Yeah, so he would have killed this guy too, apparently.
What? It's the most Jax Taylor bullshit. Listen, no one was holding him accountable.
No.
And that's why he thought he could keep getting away with it.
Right. Yeah. Clearly.
Oh.
Nobody said, you can't do that. Yeah. So then I thought it was really interesting that we get to hear from the judge that did this preliminary hearing, which was interesting to me. So the judge said, one of the deputies saw some writing on the cell where they would take them inside the courthouse to wait for these hearings. They had something threatening about the prosecutor in David's cell that said the prosecutor's last name will die. And so they asked David about it. And David's like, yeah, I wrote Lewis will die of AIDS because he was so emaciated. But then they had 4 other inmates that were approached by David to go and kill him. And then they showed the picture and it didn't say that.
And it had a box around it.
It didn't say
There were no
that.
other words.
No.
All of it.
Not even. I mean, David is a constant liar. He just lies after lies. I mean, all the time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the judge said, I ruled there was sufficient evidence to find probable cause to bind him up to district court so he could go to trial. All of them could go to trial. He said that the parents would be tried separately from David and there would be 2 trials, but the parents would go first. And apparently Lorianne was very upset, said when she left the courtroom, we haven't gotten justice. She screamed at it. We'll get justice somewhere else. She got really mad.
She glowed.
As she glowed, oh my God. My God, we got to see him again. Skip. I love him so much. Skip. So, yeah. Then we go to trial for Lorianne and Jerry, which, let me just tell you, I have to say, these pictures of Lorianne with her bouffant hair and how she will look like towards the camera or to the side, she's the devil. Her face is so scary. I don't know. She does not glow in these pictures.
Oh God. She's like the really evil principal of Harry Potter. The headmaster. Where it was like she's in pink and she has kittens everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Super scary.
That is who she is because she's so perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she actually looks like Mrs. Claus.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
And she's very sweet. And as you're finding out what horrible things that she's doing.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah. And this is where we meet the actual jury 4 person. Her name is Drina. And she looks like she's, I don't know, 40, like you said. She's so pretty. And she said she had never heard of this family before or this case or anything. She said the father, Jerry, she didn't trust him as far as she could throw him. But he looked sketch. Skeevy. Yeah, skeevy. The mother, she said she always looked so innocent. She looked like a librarian. And then we cut to Skip Jones. He is this funeral board auditor that really wants to have sex with Lorianne. He cannot keep it together.
No, he can't. Acknowledges that she's a liar and that she did bad things and that she's guilty of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But God, she looked good.
God, she still had that aura in that courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And God put her on this earth to help do people. This business and to help people. And I am telling you, if he could bed her right now, he would. He was so horny for her.
And he was even astonished. He astonished himself.
Yeah.
Like he would hear, it's like he heard himself saying these things out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he ever had said it out loud before.
Yeah. Yeah. Said she didn't do anything wrong. All she wanted to do was help these families. And he said,
she didn't know.
Yeah. She would have given Meryl Streep a run for her money when she was testifying.
Then they're like, here's proof that you forged everything.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
I didn't know.
So their defense apparently were pitting each other against. So David was Jerry and Lorianne, and David was incorporating them into his scheme, I guess, that Jerry and Lorianne had no idea what was going on. And David made them do it. And they were just victims of the whole thing. They asked David, hey, did they know? And he was like, Of course they knew. They knew this whole fucking time. Right. So he did say, he's like, I would fall on my spear for them. I lied, said that they didn't know. I tried to cover it up for them. Drina, the jury foreperson, she said the defense tried to make it that towards us, not to believe that they didn't have anything to do with it. And evidence was so overwhelming that they absolutely knew what was going on. They 100% knew what was going on, and they were totally and completely involved. So that's when they showed the document that they signed, that they had changed, where it said the family, like the Lamb family, had the authority to cremate the body, but then they changed it to the family had the authority to remove the tissue and remove the organs. So after they had signed it, then they would change the document, and the families didn't know that they were doing that. But then Steve was asking me, he was like, how, after they signed it, how could they come back and say, well, but you signed this document? I'm like, well, they could figure out that the document is forged, right? You know, that it was a fake, that they changed the bottom of it. They faked all of that. And then it came out that Lorianne was forging the signatures of some of the family members on these cremation forms and misspelling the family members' names. And we never knew about any of that previously. And she said she didn't know about any of that either. She's innocent of that. The jury foreperson said, to be honest, when we were deliberating, we were all hoping that they'd get life in prison. Obviously, they found him guilty, but the judge only gave them 3 years and 8 months each.
Which is wild.
Yeah, I thought that was not good. That's not good.
And everyone was mad about
20,000+ families that were affected and victimized by these people, and they got 3 years in prison. And I don't think they served, the 3 years.
No, they didn't. And
no,
that I thought was interesting. I don't think that the preliminary, I don't think that was necessarily influenced by who they were in Pasadena, but then I think it's universally accepted that all of that happened because of who the Lamb family was. And this kind of old money, established community members that the judge decided that, and people were pissed at that judge.
Yeah, that for sure came in at sentencing. So they were really upset. And then we get to David's trial. And that's what you said. So he went into trial. He had a total sense of entitlement, and he was really cocky. And he got a different judge, and his judge dismissed 20 of his charges, including murder and conspiracy. And people were really upset about it. And David was asked about it, and he said he got lucky. And laughed and was really happy about this new judge that he got. And this judge sentenced him to 5 years. And I don't think he did the full 5 years on that one. I think he did like 2.5 or something out of the 5 years. And people were really upset about that too. So people were still upset about this Tim Waters. They were still trying to pin it on David somehow, that David poisoned Tim Waters. So then we meet this professor of toxicology at Cornell. So they had done that previous test that they thought they had found some oleander in Tim Waters' toxicology previous report, but both sides wanted more toxicology report on his organs. And so they hired this professor from Cornell to do that. And they found out that Tim Waters' body was in an above ground casket, just at room temperature. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if somebody did that on purpose. So they couldn't do any sort of other testing on his body.
I mean, the whole thing doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
It was gross. The grossest part of this whole thing was Tim Waters' body.
Oh, God. He says this professor said that, the organs are removed during the autopsy. They are placed in plastic bags. He doesn't know if they were placed in some sort of a Ziploc bag or what kind of plastic bags, but they're in the casket with Tim Waters' body, but just beside the body. And he was given the liver to do the toxicology sample on. And when he looks at the liver is basically, he called it chocolate pudding. It was just mush. It was so decayed. Right. Yeah, I can't even begin to know what that would smell like or look like.
I was just going to say, what do you think it smelled like?
Oh my God, I don't. So they had this special instrument that they used to test for it, and they didn't find anything. So they went back to court and the judge dismissed the murder charge. But this professor said just because he didn't find it doesn't mean that it wasn't there previously. So that's why I'm saying I feel like somebody did that to his body on purpose. I don't know.
Like it had deteriorated beyond.
Right.
And everything had broken down.
Right.
At that point.
Right. Right.
But I mean, if they can't find it, then they can't prove it.
True.
It's hard. You can't really charge it.
Right.
But they had people saying that he had told people.
Yes. And he had that book on how to use.
And that's not enough.
True. 100%. All of that. I mean, we get to see a weird little snippet of David talking about, during the time that he was waiting in the county jail to see if he was going to be officially brought up on these murder charges. His grandpa on his dad's side or his mom's side died. And he's crying. He's crying, talking about this memory.
That seemed very genuine. It felt very Jax Taylor to me. Because he was in jail.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to be there.
Right.
When his grandfather died. And then his grandmother died right after that.
Yeah, so I wrote down the dates, March 29th, and then his grandma died April 2nd. I mean, and he's sobbing, talking about this story, and I'm going, but then you're telling other people that when bodies are dead, just buck up, just suck it up, buttercup,
It doesn't matter because they're not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's only counts. It was so Jax Taylor. Remember when Jax's dad died?
Yes.
But then he was an asshole to Lala
when
her dad died.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't count unless it's happening.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. That's so good. Anyway,
that's the only time he can recognize its validity.
It was just so weird to watch. Anyway, so we fast forward. That was 1991. 3 years later, 1994. Everybody gets out of prison. They all happily move to Lake Mojave, Arizona. Lorianne and Jerry are living next door to David and Barb. And David gets a job driving buses.
And she's got her 2 kids.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And it's she went through this horrific ordeal of finding out that her husband's doing all of these awful things.
Yeah.
Her in-laws, who she'd put up onto such a pedestal.
Yep.
They had been doing horrific things. And she's a stay-at-home mom.
Yep.
She has no money. She's asking them for help.
Yep.
And they're like,
fuck off.
Welfare, baby. And
yep. See ya.
And she's still there raising her kids with
I know.
Next door and her husband.
Yes. Oh yeah. It just was very icky. Gave me the ick for sure. Yeah, so he's driving this bus, taking people across to go gambling, and the bus company gives him these bus tickets to sell. And what does David do? He decides, look, I'm going to make my own bus tickets so I can make my own money. And he gets caught
on probation.
And arrested. Yep. So he gets charged with a class 2 felony for this bus coupon scheme and goes to prison for 5 years in Arizona. So he serves more time for this coupon scheme than he does for this 20,000 plus family horrible cremation thing that he did in California. And he has to pay, $358 in restitution for the bus coupons. Anyway, so then David and Barbara break up while he's serving prison time.
And him talking about the breakup, he was like, I would have stayed married to her if she hadn't gotten a boyfriend. And you're like, darling, do you not kind of see what you've done here?
What's
you don't
happening?
See, you never cheated on her, so everything has to be forgiven. You're not the bad guy.
Right? Oh my God, Sir Jax Taylor. Right. And so then after that, he has a string of probation violation problems. We see they just plop off these years. 1996, probation violation. 2002, 2006, 2012.
Was that the gun thing?
Yes. In Montana, he gets convicted of stealing a gun from somebody in Montana. So they charge him with a federal firearm charge.
Well, he wasn't allowed to have a gun. But then he also proclaimed that he wasn't a gun guy. But then he's also in other times described guns.
Right.
And he's like, oh, that was a nickel-plated blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And you're like, what the... Who knows who knows that about guns? People who are gun people. Yeah. And other people are like, yeah, he used to have 1 or 2 guns around on him at all times. He's like, I wasn't a gun guy.
Liar, liar, liar. I mean, you cannot believe anything this guy says. So yeah, then California pops him and gives him 25 years. 25 years for this federal...
They're sick of his shit.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And so then that's where we circle back to the first episode where we see him getting out in 2023, the very first part. And that's where we end up at the beginning of this documentary. Then they circle back to this former inmate, his cellmate, Scott. This I love this guy. He's the guy that said, look, I'm a criminal, but I'm not fucking crazy like this guy. Yeah, he said, talking to David, he would never take responsibility for anything. David's always a victim. If none of this would have ever happened, he would have been left alone. I wrote this down. He would have been the Mortician of the world.
Well, he also said that like it's his parents' fault for making him go to mortuary school.
Yep.
And it's like the universe's fault for him getting hurt when he was playing football.
Yes.
If he had never gotten hurt playing football, then he would have been fine. If his parents hadn't shown him this and made him go to mortuary school, then he wouldn't have ever done any of these things. If you hadn't gone into mortuary sciences, I mean, he could have gone into like flipping burgers and he still would have figured out a way to do horrific things.
Oh God, yeah. So then they ask him, you know, what's your relationship with your family? And he says, I've been abandoned. It's non-existent. Victim again. Jax Taylor. We find out his grandpa died of a brain tumor and his grandma died in 2000. And he was only told of his dad's death while he was in prison in 2019 by a friend. He's never heard from his mother again after his dad's death.
That was so crazy.
We do see a little film, a little snippet of his mother kind of far away in this house or shack, and she's sitting on the back porch or something.
Yeah, it looks
just
like a
modular
there. Home.
Yeah.
She had declined to be interviewed for the documentary.
Yep.
And you just see her looking like she had been so pristine and put together. And then you see her kind of in this, like a little ramshackle house, just looking rough.
I told Steve, I said, you know what this reminds me of is that movie or show, Grey Gardens.
The mom and daughter.
And
she used to be something. And now she is, it's like
awful.
How the Mighty Have Fallen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the producers, they go back to Johnny, one of the employees. They ask him if he's had any guilt or remorse. And he was like, I didn't think I did anything wrong. I had a job and I was doing drugs, and it was the job and the drugs and my family, some of them still don't talk to me. And then they talk to Andre and he's like, hey, I'm 64 years old now and I'm kind of like the last man standing around. And then we hear that, the other guys, Danny died from a skydiving accident, and
like a freak accident.
Yeah. And Dave Edwards died. He got AIDS from a blood transfusion. And then they talked to the guy in the shadows that I call him. They asked him if he'd ever want to be cremated. And he was like, yeah, of course. Totally want to be cremated.
And put me in with a bunch of people.
Yeah, I totally want to do that.
He's like, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or hell, but I don't want to go by myself. Put me in with a bunch of people.
Yeah, man, I totally want to do that. And then they talk about the laws and the regulations today.
Yeah.
They say that this case was the incendiary, basically, for massive regulations in the funeral service practice. They have incredible rules regarding cremation, more statutes than any industry. And there's more clarity in the decision-making process for consumers. More laws were passed and to inspect crematoriums, and certain specific things are now felonies because of these people. But again, there's still crematoriums that are involved in scandals. There's still things going on even to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, we even had one in Pocatello not long ago.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So, oh yeah. And yeah. Then they talked to David about what's going on with him today. And he's, of course, a victim, right? He's like, when is enough enough? Here we go, Jax. I've lost everything. I can't change what happened. But what am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? Really? Really?
No accountability.
No accountability at all. No responsibility. We don't say we're sorry. Nothing.
He does wish he had pulled permit.
Right. I wish I would have pulled permits. And then the producer says, is there anything I didn't cover that maybe you want to ask that I should have? Anything you want to say? And David's like, maybe all coy. And so then they just quickly shoot back to Scott, who's his former cellmate. And then Scott says, yeah, David believes he's the smartest guy in the room. You go to jail and everybody in jail knows to shut the fuck up. You don't talk about your case. You don't talk about anything except David. David tells everybody everything. And then we go back to David and David starts telling the story about a gun.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't own a gun. He knows nothing about guns.
He's not a gun guy.
He's not a gun guy, but he says one night he's going to the crematorium with Barb, his wife, and he gets out to unlock the gate, and this kid jumps out of the weeds and holds, what did you call it? This nickel-plated something to his head.
Number something.
Right.
Like that.
And says, give me your wallet, give me your watch. And David says, look, I've got this $60 in my wallet, and here's my stupid Casio watch. And then David proceeds to say that his wife, Barb, is reaching across him to pull out a 9mm gun. Do you, looking at his wife, do you think this poor woman is going to reach across and pull out a gun and shoot this kid?
No, not for a second.
No.
And he's like, but of course I had taken it out to the range, and when you're shooting, this kind of bullet keeps getting stuck, so you have to get this service done on it. And he's explaining the ins and outs of how these guns work, but he's not a gun guy.
No.
So
not
you're
even
like, all right,
close.
cool, whatever.
Not even close.
And they pause and they're like, well, we actually have to reset the tape or something. And he's like, well, just between you and me, I can't tell you any more of the story anyway. That part.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, what? Yeah. And he's like, well, I can't tell you anymore. And they're like, well, we don't want to know. Then don't tell us.
He's like, at least not on camera.
Yeah, I know, right?
And the guy that's recording, he's like, well, then I don't really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
No, if it's not something that you can talk about openly, then yeah, I really don't want to know about it.
I wrote it down. He goes, I think I found the guy. And then he says, well, I've got another thing I'll tell you, but I can't talk about that either. And he goes, then David says, really, there's 3 altogether. And then they cut back to the guy in the shadows, and the guy goes, well, how many murders do you think David's been a part of? And the guy goes, well, 3. And then the producers and David's like, we'll come back. That's another day. That's another story. And then that's the end of the show. And you're just like, what?
It's like
is happening?
The Jackal, where at the end he incriminates himself.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. He's a complete murderer. And I think this Scott guy probably knows more, obviously, than he's telling, or infers maybe that he knows something.
Sure.
David is so happy to tell people. Anybody who's listening, he wants to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I feel like an investigator could pretend to be doing another documentary. Befriend him and you're going to get all the evidence you need.
Oh, yeah.
So gross. That guy sucks.
Yeah.
And what do you think for next week? Should we start the Gilgo family documentary?
Yes, absolutely.
I am so excited. That woman looks like this has just ruined her.
I know. That poor daughter, too.
And I mean, we haven't watched it yet. We'll watch it this week. I think they're all going to say that they had no idea.
I agree.
But how could they have had no idea? And what was it like growing up in that house as it's falling apart around you?
God, yeah. And you know there's no lights on in there. It's got to be so dark and scary.
Ugh.
But they also said they were always on vacation or Norway or wherever she's from. They were gone while he was being cuckoo crazy. So maybe that's why they didn't know. I don't know.
We'll find out when we watch and tell you about it next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also what crazy new thing Jax is doing.
And if Huda is still in the villa.
Do you want Huda to be in the villa?
I kind of do. I kind of want her to stay until movie night. When they watch back the movie night, I want her to stay until movie night.
I think the only couples that I really am super into, I think it's really just Taylor and
Me too.
Olandria. I really like them. And I like Austin and Amaya.
I haven't got to see them yet. I'll watch it tonight, but I think they're probably going to be cute.
I don't know if they're going to be like an amazing long-term thing, but I feel like they fit together.
Yeah.
I don't want to hang out with them, but I will watch them do weird things on this show.
Yeah.
All right, so next week we have more Love Island, we have more Valley, and we have Gilgo Beach family.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about the cats. I swear to God it will get quiet.
And now it's all quiet.
And now they're done.
Now they're done. That always happens.
Because they're on the other end of the house doing it. Thank you, Kaylee.
Thank you. I love you.